For the past decade, electric vehicles were marketed as rolling technology showcases. New models arrived packed with cutting-edge features, oversized touchscreens, experimental interfaces, novel driver controls, and ambitious software promises. EVs were not just cars. They were statements about the future. Complexity was part of the appeal. The more futuristic the vehicle felt, the more it signaled progress. That phase is now ending. Across new EV models, features are being simplified, interfaces are being streamlined, and experimental elements are quietly disappearing. This shift is often misinterpreted as cost-cutting or a slowdown in innovation. But the real reason EV features are getting simplified is much deeper. It reflects a fundamental change in how automakers think about scale, reliability, profitability, and long-term adoption. The EV market has moved from early adopters to the mass market. Early EV buyers were willing to tolerate complexity. They expected software quirks, unusual controls, and evolving interfaces. They enjoyed learning new systems and accepted that the vehicle might feel more like a beta product. That tolerance allowed automakers to experiment aggressively. Radical dashboards, touch-only controls, hidden features, and constant interface changes were acceptable because the audience expected something different. Mainstream buyers are different. As EVs move into the mass market, expectations shift sharply. Most buyers want their vehicle to work intuitively from day one. They want predictable controls, stable software, and minimal learning curves. They do not want to relearn how to adjust climate controls, mirrors, or driving modes. For this audience, complexity feels like risk, not innovation. Simplifying features becomes essential for adoption. One of the biggest drivers behind simplification is reliability. Every feature adds failure points. Touch interfaces can lag. Software features can crash. Sensors can misbehave. Over-the-air updates can introduce unexpected bugs. Early EVs often treated software experimentation as a strength, but at scale, those experiments become liabilities. Warranty claims, service visits, and customer dissatisfaction rise quickly when features are unreliable. Simplifying systems reduces error rates and long-term support costs. Automakers have learned that stable, boring features outperform clever ones over time. Another major factor is manufacturing scale. EVs are no longer niche products produced in limited volumes. They are being built in hundreds of thousands, and soon millions, of units per year. At that scale, complexity becomes expensive. Each unique feature increases production variability, slows assembly, complicates quality control, and strains supply chains. Simplified designs are easier to manufacture consistently, which directly improves margins and reduces delays. Cost pressure also plays a role, but not in the way many assume. Simplification is not just about removing expensive components. It is about controlling long-term costs. Complex features require ongoing software development, security updates, testing, and customer support. A feature that looks impressive at launch can become a recurring expense for years. As EV pricing becomes more competitive and profit margins tighten, automakers are prioritizing features that deliver clear, durable value rather than novelty. Software is central to this shift. Early EV strategies leaned heavily on software-defined vehicles, promising continuous feature expansion through updates. In practice, maintaining large, complex software systems inside vehicles is far harder than expected. Vehicles operate for a decade or more, across changing regulations, hardware limitations, and user expectations. Simplifying feature sets makes long-term software maintenance far more manageable and reduces the risk of costly recalls or compliance issues. Regulatory pressure is another underappreciated driver. EVs are subject to increasing scrutiny around safety, driver distraction, cybersecurity, and data privacy. Highly complex interfaces and experimental features attract regulatory attention. Simplified controls are easier to certify, easier to explain to regulators, and easier to defend in liability cases. As rules tighten, automakers are choosing safer, more conservative feature designs. Battery and efficiency considerations also influence feature decisions. Every feature consumes power, either directly or indirectly. Large displays, constant sensor monitoring, background software processes, and advanced driver assistance features all draw energy. In real-world driving, these loads affect range consistency. Simplifying features helps stabilize energy usage and improves predictability, which matters more to mainstream buyers than having the most advanced interface on the market. Another key reason features are being simplified is user behavior data. Automakers now have years of real-world usage data from connected vehicles. That data shows a clear pattern. Many advanced features are rarely used. Drivers rely on a small set of core functions every day and ignore the rest. When features go unused, they still create cost and complexity without delivering value. Simplification is a data-driven response, not a guess. There is also a brand risk element involved. Early EV makers differentiated themselves through radical design and features. Today, the competitive landscape is crowded. Legacy automakers, startups, and global brands all offer EVs. Standing out through extreme experimentation is no longer necessary or desirable. Brands are instead competing on trust, reliability, resale value, and ownership experience. Simplified features support those goals. Importantly, simplification does not mean EVs are becoming less advanced. Much of the intelligence is moving behind the scenes. Power management, battery health monitoring, thermal control, and efficiency optimization are becoming more sophisticated, not less. These improvements matter more to long-term ownership than flashy features. The vehicle feels calmer because complexity is being absorbed by the system rather than exposed to the driver. This shift also supports longer vehicle lifespans. Simpler features age better. Physical controls remain intuitive. Stable interfaces reduce software decay. Vehicles feel usable for longer periods without constant updates or retraining. In a market where EV resale value and total cost of ownership matter more than ever, longevity is a competitive advantage. Looking ahead, this trend will continue. Future EVs will still improve, but progress will look different. Instead of dramatic new features, buyers will see quieter improvements in efficiency, reliability, charging behavior, and system integration. The vehicle will feel less experimental and more dependable. In the end, EV features are getting simplified because the industry is growing up. Electric vehicles are no longer experiments. They are becoming everyday transportation for millions of people. And for everyday use, simplicity is not a weakness. It is the foundation of scale, trust, and long-term success.